What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. So I wanted to have a conversation. It's going to be brief, but I really wanted to have a conversation about a debate that Mouse Jones, I believe Mouse is a hip hop personality or podcaster. Mouse Jones got into a back and forth with Dr. Umar Johnson. And Dr. Umar Johnson was basically saying that hip hop has done more harm for the black community than good, right? And Mouse Jones is arguing against that, like, yo, no, hip hop it has led to a lot of black folks gaining jobs, whether they're videographers, whether they're producers, rappers, DJs, etc., and all of that, right? And Dr. Umar was like, yo, you're talking individualistic stuff. I'm talking about collectivism. Collectively for the community, hip hop has done more harm than good. And, as a person who is a hip hop fanatic, I love hip hop. That is my favorite musical art form. And I've been enamored with hip hop since I was a young boy, right? Listening, being around my uncles, my brothers, my cousins, having them playing hip hop around me, I became infatuated with the music. And this is a conversation that I often struggled with. I made a video not too long ago, and I was basically arguing against people that felt like hip hop was, destructive to the black community, etc. Right? And I can say this, two things can be true. I can think that hip hop is a very entertaining art form. I can think it's very, it has some inspirational rappers in it. It has some inspirational rap in it. And it is a art form that is really, it can be nuanced. To me, it's really the expression, the way people use metaphors, similes, alliteration is dope. But I also recognize that mainstream does not often push the backpacking rapper, the conscious rap. They don't push that. What the hip hop that's like known to be pushed in mainstream America is the murder music, the music filled with misogyny, and how those messages transfer to the youth. Now, as a black man in Chicago, Illinois, South Side, y'all excuse my hair is wild. As a black man from the South Side of Chicago, Illinois, I'm very much aware of the impact that drill music, the negative impact that drill music has had on black American youth in particular, right? Not just in Chicago, nationwide. When I see kids going to the grave sites of their enemies, urinating on graves, dancing on graves, and taunting people and disrespecting family members and mothers and fathers, and talking about putting the opposition, a black man that's their opposition, putting them in a blunt and naming strands of weed after they deceased enemies. That stuff is crazy. It's ridiculous, and it's spread from just Chicago to Jacksonville, Florida. All of that. You got people bragging about, going on hits, and y'all know hits are assassinations, essentially murders, right? And while I know that a great parent can, because I listened to that music and I didn't do any of those things, and I told y'all I'm guilty for enjoying some of the music, the drill music that has been created, even though I know the effects of it. You know what I mean? And so you can call me a hypocrite, and I definitely would take that, because yeah, it is a troublesome thing for me to like listening to some of this music when I know what the stuff is about, right? And yeah, oftentimes good parenting and parent and the community having a hand on the kid can help, deter a kid from street life. I know a lot of times, not everybody has good parents. Not everybody has active parents who keep their hands on their children all the time. And a lot of these kids hear this music and they want to emulate it. They see the images of these young dudes. They want to be just like that because they feel like it's popular. It can gain them attention. If not rich, just gain them attention, gain them notoriety, make them popular in certain spheres that they want to be popular in with girls, etc. And I understand that. When I think about all the different music that has come across the board, like when I think about drill music and all of that, I'm like, yo, I remember this one time I was listening to one of the BD twins, one of the Black Disciple twins in Chicago. Y'all know. And one of the BD twins was talking to Lil Durk homie, Chief Wook, Lil Varney. That's one of the BD twins is Chief Wook, and Lil Vernie's father, right? And he was like, yo, you can't tell me this music don't have an effect on people. He was like, when we was going out doing what we were doing in the streets, wilding out, we had a soundtrack to what we was doing. And this music was the soundtrack. And y'all can't act like it wasn't, you know? And so when you think about that, when you think about the misogyny that's spread in the music, dudes telling you a girl ain't nothing but a bitch and a hoe, and a lot of people, it led to a lot of men treating these women just like that, right? Rappers telling men, hey, you don't love a bitch, don't love a girl. And while they say all of that in their music, they go right back home to the same woman that they've been with for 10, 15 years while telling you, don't get married to no woman, don't be with no woman, don't love on no woman. Just a lot of destructive messages within it. And it harmed the community because a lot of the kids took that in. Now, a lot of rappers today are not going to want to admit that the messages in the music is crazy, and a lot of times it's been destructive to the community. Even though we enjoy the art form, they are not going to want to admit that, because it is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding of it. You know what I mean? It's not beneficial for them to admit or understand how these things are harmful to the community, right? Now, let me say this too. When Dr. Umar was talking about how hip hop has done more harm than good, and it hasn't really helped with the community, he's also speaking about nation building, right? The building of schools, supermarkets, banks, etc. Not someone just becoming a videographer, right? A lot of people would say that hip hop serves as a conduit to many things. There are people who would argue that hip hop music, would help lead rappers to opening schools, banks, etc., right? Some would say hip hop is a gateway to community building. However, the problem with that argument is that there is nobody, I don't really know. I mean, you might say Killer Mike got something with a bank, but other than him, there is one person in the hip hop community that has opened schools, banks, supermarkets. Nobody's really done those things, even though they have made enough money to do that, right? We see other communities, they pull their resources together and they collectively build each other up, while black people have been tricked into believing that we only have to look out for ourselves and be individualistic, even as we attain mega millions and sometimes billions in the case of or half a billion in the case of Jay-Z, right? Like, I remember when the Migos went to a high school and wrote $1,000 check for a high school. Come on, bro. A lot of the money they made, they wrote $1,000 check. $1,000 is enough to get 3 laptops for a school? That wasn't gonna do anything, but it make them feel like, I guess, they was doing something when they really wasn't. You know what I mean? And people gonna talk about Jay-Z being wealthy and Jay-Z getting rich. That's not building up the black community. Jay-Z, one of my favorite rappers all time, right? But Jay-Z becoming nearly a billionaire is not a win for black people. That's a win for him. The wealth he accumulates is for his family, and he should be taking care of his family, right? But it's for his family only. And the majority of people working for Jay-Z at Rock Nation and all of that, these are people from all different cultures and backgrounds, right? Jigga ain't opening no schools or no banks or nothing. I remember he wanted to have cryptocurrency classes in Marcy projects instead of, they don't need no cryptocurrency class. They need something to help them now in the Marcy projects. Why you get them some money for groceries, for rent? They hungry. You know what I mean? That's the real way. Feed some families for real. You know what I mean? So I agree that hip hop, as much as I love it, has done more harm for the black community than good when you consider all those things.